All right. This actually works out better for me because that way I can look at my notes.
Oh yeah, that is perfect.
I got all these questions for you, so just get ready.
Oh wow.
All of that.
That.
All right. Well, I don't need to clap. No visuals, but well, starting out. Welcome back to my podcast. My name is Joshua Smith. This is Raw Insights, and today we're here with Greyson. He's visiting Belize, and just give us a brief introduction to yourself.
Awesome. Well, my name is Greyson Hill. I'm an influencer, I guess you could say. Otherwise, just a servant of God. um, I came here with my church. This is my third time in Belize, actually. The first two missions trips I've been on were to Belize to visit the YWAM. Let's see. You want me to give like a testimony almost, or just?
If you feel called to give a testimony, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can give like a short term testimony.
Okay, go ahead.
So basically, I've grown up as a pastor's kid. For a long time, I really lived off my parents' faith.
Mm-hmm.
So I never had that relationship of my own with God because I wasn't drugged to church, but it's like, you get in the routine of things. So it's like you live off of your parents' faith. And it wasn't until I went to a youth camp, when I was about 14 that I experienced God's presence for the first time.
Okay.
And that was when I really felt like the true love of the Father.
The presence, yeah.
Yes, exactly. And that really spiritually tattooed me because it's like, wow, nobody can tell me this is fake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a true living God, and now I know that He's real.
Yeah.
And so after that moment, I've been living for God. I know in middle school, it was an interesting season because I wasn't scared to preach the gospel, but I wasn't being bold either. Like if somebody were to ask me if I was a Christian, I wouldn't deny it, but at the same time, I would not like go out
and say it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I get you.
And so going into high school, that kind of shifted whenever I got into the gym around sophomore year, so 10th grade. The Lord put it on my heart to start this Instagram. And it was like something that I had already started an Instagram, but it was just for personal progress in the gym. But one night, it was like the beginning of the year, it was like January 4th, I had a dream of an influencer that I followed. And we had a meetup. And normally gym meetups are just like lifting and, signing T-shirts or whatever it may be. But at this one, I was there, and it was like we had a worship service. Like God really started speaking to people, and we had almost like a Bible study with all these guys. And I remember thinking like, man, that would be so amazing because all these men of God, learning to grow themselves physically and spiritually. Imagine how powerful that would be to grow, a community like that. Yeah. So I told my best friend, who was my cameraman at the time, I was like, well, we're going to start posting every day from like it doesn't matter the views or the likes. We're just going to be consistent, and every single one is going to include God in it somehow. And so I began to do that. And I remember some of my friends in high school began they had found my page, and I low-key got clowned for the first couple of times that I was doing it. Like I remember they would say comments at me and other things that were out of pocket. But I didn't let that disturb me because I knew the bigger picture, and I knew that God planted that dream in my heart for a reason.
Yeah.
And so I remember it was like a month and a half in, our first video that kind of blew up hit 10,000 views. And it was like, holy cow, this is something that God can really use. And after that, God really just took it up from there. I remember people at school, whenever they started seeing my progress, they started to respect me more, which kind of sucks because, they weren't supportive from the beginning. So you could tell that they were kind of fake. But at the same time, God used that to influence them because they were seeing my posts. And so I see it as online evangelism. And with my social media account growing, I was able to be more bold at school as well. So I started to I led a youth like a prayer in the morning. We had Wednesday morning prayer at school, and it also sparked conversation at school. Like I would get asked all the time, like, "Bro, I saw you on Instagram." Or stuff
You're
like
that gym guy.
yeah, like I saw you on my FYP, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cool!" Like, all glory to God.
Mhm.
And so God really started to use that. And on I guess the downside of things, like there was seasons where the Lord would humble me,
Mhm.
and that's something that I always prayed for, is that the Lord would never allow me to keep my focus or let my focus stray away from Him. I always wanted to glorify Him, and so whenever I did start, or when I allowed the likes and the algorithm to emphasize me and like bring it to me or give glory to myself, the Lord would take me out of the algorithm, or He would make sure my mindset is in the right place. And usually that would take anywhere from like 2 weeks to a month time.
Mhm.
And so I probably had like 3 or 4 times when that happened, where the Lord would literally just humble me.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for it, even though it like sucked in the moment, because your flesh is like, oh no, like I'm not getting as many views or as many likes.
Yeah.
But like your spirit, like after you realize, I needed that, because if you were to fall, like if I were to really blow up and then have a huge fall, it would totally erase everything, all the progress that I made.
Mhm.
And dang, I'm really kind of just flowing right now. Is that okay?
That's fine. Just keep going.
And so I remember after one of the biggest times where God humbled me, there was a video I made, and it hit, I think, like 15 million views.
15 million.
15 million. And to me, that was so crazy. Like I couldn't even explain the feeling, like knowing that 15 million people. I can't even imagine that.
Hmm.
And it's something you can't take credit for. Like,
Yeah.
like how in the world did 15 million people see this video that I made in the gym, or whatever, wherever I edited at? I can't remember. But that was probably my biggest impacting moment, I guess you could say. Um, and then from there, let's see. I just graduated high school. I'm going to be staying home while all my friends go to college. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be in a season where I'm kind of like surrounding myself with more adults and people that will pour into me, because I just know that the Lord has called me to, be filled up before I pour back out.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely going to be a season of transition, but I'm excited for it.
Yeah. That's amazing. All right. Well, moving on, we had to move locations due to a lot of background noises.
Yes.
But that's okay. Anyways, getting into it, I have a few questions for you. A lot of questions actually lined up. You saw the list.
Yes.
And I hope you're prepared. So
I'm ready.
Starting off, my first question is, what inspired you to start your fitness journey?
Good question. So I grew up playing football.
American football or soccer?
Yes, American football.
Okay.
Sorry, football americano. And I got injured in like 6th or 7th grade, and so I didn't play any sports from then until freshman year.
Mhm.
And then freshman year, my mom made me play volleyball because she wanted me to be active in some way.
Mhm.
And volleyball, it was fun, but the coach ruined it for me, and so I didn't want to play again. But I knew I needed to keep myself healthy and active in some sort of way.
Yeah.
And so that sophomore year is when I found the gym. And that's really when I fell in love with the gym, because it was something I could do like year round. It wasn't seasonal. It wasn't like a sport where, it'll be a certain season and then you have
It cuts off.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was one major plus for me. And then another thing was, it was a place where I could go to detox from, the world. You have a lot of noise around you, chaos with your family, friends, the world, social media. And I was able to go to the gym and really feel productive at the same time while being like being able to fill myself up spiritually. Like I would put on worship music in my headphones sometimes when it was like really bad. Like if it was a bad day, I would have worship music playing while lifting, and so I really fell in love with lifting when I knew I could grow physically and spiritually.
Yeah, and that worship music in the gym go hard. I'll be having the Christian heavy metal playlist going on in my ear, just hearing screamcore. But then I'm like, it's okay, it's Christian.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my next question is, can you describe? I can't speak. Can you describe your current fitness routine and how it has evolved over time?
Okay. So it's been kind of all over the place, if I'm gonna be honest. Recently with school ending, because I had to grind out all these assignments and studying for the tests, and just making sure I get A's and B's because my parents, they were telling me to lock in, finish strong, and so I'm trying to get back into that routine, especially with vacation. I was gone for about a month, about going different places, and so I really didn't get to lift a lot. But whenever I am in the routine of things, my favorite like discipline or the best routine that I love is waking up in the mornings. At first it sucks, but it pays off. Like getting used to sleeping or staying up late and waking up late, it's such a bad habit that I try not to get back into. It's very easy to do because it's something that kids our age don't normally do unless you are really disciplined, at least where I'm from. And so I would wake up in the mornings, spend about 15 minutes with God, and then I would go to the gym. And usually I would have chest day first on Mondays.
Chest day, always.
Yes, sir. Chest day, back and buys the next day, and leg day. Triceps, and I usually would throw in like forearms. Actually, like I would kind of emphasize on the things that I don't normally focus on. Like sometimes I'll throw traps in there with triceps, and then I'd kind of repeat it. Sometimes I usually have about two rest days, and I stopped doing core, which I need to lock back in on because man, core
sucks.
Yes.
Yeah, the soreness from it, not my favorite.
Yeah, and it's not enjoyable. But it's evolved over time because I've realized that time over tension matters, form matters, the weight obviously that comes into play, but whenever your form is messed up, it's not as good as
It's not as effective.
It's not as effective.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've emphasized, keeping good form. I'll hold like with cable curls. I'll squeeze at the top and go down slowly. I make sure to really get the best out of my reps and make sure I'm going to failure almost on every set. So yeah.
I like that you said that about form, that it matters, and you don't really get as efficient, and that kind of correlates, kind of like with like your walk with God, like how it says, you keeping proper form, you're really optimizing your muscles to the max. It's the same way how like if you're not keeping your walk with Christ properly, then not getting in that secret place over and over, then you're gonna constantly fall into temptation and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Like people saying, oh well, they fell into temptation one day. Everyone has temptation, but falling into it, you're not thinking about sinning if you're getting into your secret place. No one goes to has devotion in the morning or something like that. They're reading the Bible and they're like, oh, let me just go steal from somebody or something like that.
Yeah.
It's exactly. Just keeping that proper form, I guess.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I have another question. I have a lot actually, but okay.
Loud car.
Very loud car. How does the concept of stewardship in Christianity relate to maintaining physical fitness and health? You need me to read that again?
Yeah. Can you read it?
Yeah, it's a pretty long question. How does the concept of stewardship in Christianity relate to maintaining physical fitness and health?
So basically, like, how does maintaining your relationship with Christ relate to staying disciplined in the gym
and fitness? Yeah.
Okay. For me, it's something that correlates so much because as humans, it's very normal for us to like. Um, it's hard for us to always be spiritual, and what I mean by that is sometimes we need physical, or we always need physical obedience to unlock the spiritual blessing.
Mhm.
And so, um, for me, whenever I go to the gym and I'm being hard on myself or I'm being disciplined, it helps me stay motivated and stay disciplined to be in my word every morning.
Yeah.
And it's always about like discipline because motivation comes and goes,
Mhm.
and your discipline will become a desire. And like in your relationship with Christ, you're constantly wanting to grow.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to grow, obviously some people are comfortable where they're at, but there's some people that have the mindset of wanting to be more effective in the kingdom, and that's awesome. And I always encourage people to get comfortable being uncomfortable,
Mhm.
because if you
That's
get
good.
too comfortable, then you're going to stay at the same level. And
Yeah.
it can be comfortable, but it's more fun whenever you're able to upgrade and grow.
Go
In the
through
gym,
that uncomfortable situation.
exactly. In the
Yeah.
gym, it's not fun seeing the same exact like looking at your body in the mirror and seeing the same
No
thing.
change. No
Exactly.
progress. Yeah.
And so whenever you are uncomfortable, that's when you see progress.
Yeah.
Same, in your relationship with Christ, new levels, new devils. You get tested, and as you go on the journey, you equip new. What am I thinking for? You equip like new ways to overcome challenges.
Mhm.
Like with temptation, you learn. Obviously, temptation is always going to be there,
Yeah.
but you just learn new ways to defeat it or flee from it,
Mhm.
and overcome it. Just like in the gym, like if you're trying to bulk up, you don't eat you don't eat a small amount of food, and the way you train doesn't remain the same.
Yeah.
Based off of the path you're taking, you're going to change up the style of training.
Yeah. Yeah. I like what so one of my gym buddies, he says embrace the suck, because kind of like you get sore,
Mhm.
you're working out, you work till failure, and you still have like 12 reps left or something like that,
Yeah.
and you just get through it. You
Mhm.
get through that uncomfortable situation, but the soreness,
Mhm.
for whatever reason, everyone at the gym loves the soreness.
Absolutely.
I don't know why, but it's weird. But
Mhm.
yeah, so that's soreness because something good's gonna come from it. From your muscles tearing down, they're gonna build back stronger and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mhm. It's like the fruit
Yeah.
of working out.
It's like a reward, like that one.
Yeah.
That one TikTok sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, what are the biggest challenges you faced in maintaining a consistent fitness regimen?
Um, Biggest challenges. I would say like the day-to-day things that you deal with, or I guess as your life changes, like growing up, especially like kids our age, like in high school,
Mhm.
there's always going to be things thrown at you that can throw your schedule around the place, like working, school,
Yeah.
church, whatever it may be. There's sometimes it's hard to find time, but I'm not making an excuse because there's always time. But I think for me, that's definitely one of the big things, and also like just it's always a daily battle for me to I tell myself I've got to be uncomfortable to grow. Growth without change is impossible,
Yeah.
and so I have to be willing to embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah,
Yeah. I like that. I forgot what I was gonna say.
I know
It was on the tip of my tongue just now, and then I was like, I drank some water, took a sip, and just disappeared.
it's okay. It'll come back to you.
I'll come back. All right. Well, what are some? Actually, no. I just remembered. No. Okay. There we go. Before we move on to the next question. Yeah. I know for me that was kind of like a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Working out. I was like, well, I'm working 2 jobs. I'm doing this.
Mhm.
I'm like, I don't have time. And then I'm like, oh well, the cost effective. I'm paying $135 a month at the gym and stuff like that. So I'm like,
Yeah.
But that took me a while. I guess the past year,
Mm-hmm.
I've stayed consistent while being, not while having these same circumstances, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I went through there's a 9-month internship at
Mhm.
our church in Arkansas, and it was well, it was a lot of work, right? Like we'd be serving at the church almost majority of the days of the week. We'd have different things we do, but I still found time. I'd be like, all right, well, I have to get the gym done, so I'm like, all right, after I'm done, I go to the gym 10:30 at night,
Yeah.
get back, 12 o'clock, go to bed, and I'm like, gotta wake up at 6 a.m. But I still gotta do the gym,
Yeah.
But it's getting the what do you call that? Something pleasure for later satisfaction or something like that. I can't remember, but
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the word too.
I'm trailing off. My bad.
No, you're good.
All right. Well, moving on to the next question.
Okay.
I have. What are some biblical principles that can be applied to a fitness routine?
Ooh. As iron sharpens iron, so one sharpens another. I know sometimes, especially in the beginning of my journey, a gym bro was almost a necessity for me.
Yeah.
For me, it was my cousin from Pennsylvania. He would come down in the summers, and since he plays college football, he had good routines.
Mm-hmm.
And so having a buddy like that who pushes you is always important. Obviously, as you get older, a lot of people get used to going to the gym alone, which isn't bad. But from time to time, it's always good to have somebody keeping you accountable, even if they're not at the gym. Bro, did you hit the gym today, or how are you doing this week? And going into spirituality, like how are you doing with temptation? Having somebody to keep you accountable, or having somebody to encourage you and tell you the things you need to hear, not the things you want to hear, because that's important. You'll have friends who will keep you comfortable, and there will be friends that'll keep you uncomfortable. But finding that balance is crucial, because a good friend will encourage you in times of need, and also tell you, he'll step on your toes from time to time.
Yeah.
And so, like in the gym, you got to have somebody to push you. And for me, I love like bodybuilding gyms, because just seeing the big people, like the big gym motivation bros, is just motivating.
Yeah.
And
that should have been me.
Yeah, like, man, I want to be like them one day. And so I'm trailing off.
It's all right. Funny story about that, about seeing big people in the gym. So I was at this one gym in Northwest Arkansas, and it was like this this gym that they had some famous people go through, like C-Bum and different people.
Dang, okay.
Yeah, so they had like a whole plaque, on the wall with C-Bum and everything. But yeah, so I was there, right, and I decided to go at, I think it was 12 a.m., 12:30 a.m. After midnight.
Yeah,
and that's when all the big guys decided to come out.
Dang.
And I was in there. I'm a tiny guy. I'm a small guy.
You're not small.
I'm a small guy.
Maybe compared to them.
5'6". Yeah. So yeah. So I'm working out. This guy next to me, he's using the machine. He's on the fly machine. He's like 6'5" or something. Huge guy. I'm not talking like chunky or whatnot, but like bro has swole. Yeah, he's swole. He has a lot of muscle. He's like ripped. So I go up to him. I'm like, hey bro, I'm trying to be like you. What do I got to do? And then he starts telling me about this whole thing. He's like, eating 12,000 calories a day, staying strict with your diet. And then he started talking about taking testosterone. But I was like, I'm not going to listen to that.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
We're staying natty.
But, it's just they're staying so consistent with that and making sacrifices, and, why can't we do that as well with, our walk with Christ? Why can't we stay strict with, our routines and whatnot? And
yeah.
Yeah,
and like adding on to that, I think why the physical thing is so crucial for me is because it's almost like a reminder. Because obviously God is first, but whenever you are being disciplined, like God can't bless a lazy person. There's a verse that talks about a little sleep, a little slumber, and so like poverty comes on you. I forget the full thing, but essentially, if you're not willing to get up out of bed and be productive in some sort, God can't use you.
Yeah.
And so whenever you're being active, at least physically, to me, that's just it just helps you spiritually, to stay disciplined.
Yeah. I Going back to that accountability thing. I know for me it was like when I started out, I was working out with two other people, so it was like kind of like a trifecta.
Yeah.
And that was great. I loved it. Loved every bit of it. There's constant conversation going on. There's that. And it's with other men, so you're building that kind of fellowship with men, right? And but after that ended, it was kind of hard getting back into the gym, having that motivation, because it's like you don't have anyone saying, okay, we're going to the gym, so you have to go as well.
Yeah.
So like before, it'd be like, okay, well, we agreed on 5 o'clock. I already committed to that. I'm going to stick to my word. This other person's probably already there, so I'm like, I got to get up. But then not having that is like, I feel like that's kind of how a lot of men are nowadays. They're like, they don't have that other manly figure in their life to keep them accountable, and then they kind of fall back into sin. Like that's one thing I encourage a lot of younger men getting into Christianity or getting into their walk with Christ. Is that they need to have an accountability partner.
Absolutely.
Somebody that could be like, okay, well, you said you do this, we're gonna keep you that, or they're gonna invite them out. They're gonna just surround them with that positive, that's positive environment.
Yeah, having a mentor is crucial. For me, like I need somebody who's gonna step on my toes. Like I appreciate people who are like, yeah, bro, I got you. I'll pray for you, but somebody who's gonna check up on you daily, like hit you up even before you go to bed to make sure you keep your phone out of your room at night. The hard things that not a lot of people talk about. That's for me. That's where I see the most like growth. It's most effective whenever it's like pushing me. For some reason, I love. It's like as men, we love to be challenged, and so whenever you have somebody telling you, the real stuff, it makes you want to lock in more. But yeah.
I miss my gym bros. It's been a while. But moving on. All right, so my next question to you is, how can Christians find balance between prioritizing physical health and focusing on spiritual growth?
Okay. This is a good question. This is something I get asked a lot on social media. And, it's easy to say, God first. It's easy to talk about it, but, your actions speak louder than words. And you never want to prioritize the gym over your walk with Christ. And so first I would just ask the Lord to give you wisdom and discernment, knowing how to balance it, and also like awareness to know, am I putting this above my relationship with God? Like, am I caring more about my gains in the gym than my growth spiritually? Ask him to, keep you humble and keep you aware of, those things that can happen easily, because we can make idols in our life very easily. One of the biggest ones for me is my phone. Being a social media influencer has a lot of pros and it has a lot of cons. Because you want to learn how to balance, using the platform God's blessed you with, but it's also, you got to balance not being on it as much. You know what I mean? When I look at my screen time and compare that to the time that I spend with God and His Word, it's like, dang. Like, have you ever like stopped and looked at your screen time? It's like, bro, I'm spending 6-7 hours on my phone, but only 30 minutes in the Bible. What am I doing? Like, I gotta lock in. And so I would just ask the Lord for the strength to stay disciplined in the Word, because reading the Bible isn't always easy and fun. Like I said earlier, your discipline will become a desire, and as you spend more time with the Lord and in His Word, and set more time aside for Him, that's when you're gonna get the fruits of it. You're gonna become more joyful and have more peace. And because like scrolling on TikTok and Instagram, like it'll get you through the day, but it's not fulfilling. It's just like time wasted basically, versus spending time in the Word, and after you feel like, wow, I'm ready to hit the gym. I'm ready to take the day on. But yeah,
you get that little TikTok scrolling, constant TikTok scrolling. Yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say again.
That was good though.
That's good though. I like that. Gosh, it just disappeared from my head like that. But yeah. Anyways, I have another. How can Christians find balance between prioritizing? Oh, I just asked that. Never mind.
No, you're good.
I forgot to check it off. Yeah. What role does self-discipline and fitness play in the Christian life? I think we kind of already covered that a little bit in the beginning. But
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah. I think I said it earlier, but just that physical obedience leading to a spiritual, fruit.
Mhm.
Like, my mind just went blank.
I had that just a little while ago.
What was it like? How your spiritual walk, like being disciplined,
Mhm.
there can be.
What role does self-discipline and fitness play in Christian life?
Just like hitting the gym requires discipline, so does spending time with God. We can go to church, but a true relationship with God is not talking to Him once a week.
Yeah.
It's if you have a girlfriend, you don't text her once a week, or you're yeah, that's not a relationship. I'd be worried for you, but whenever you're spending time with God, with so many distractions in the world, like with your phone, it's so easy. Like the way they've set it up with scrolling, even scientifically, dopamine releases every time you see a new video. And with reading, or reading the word, it's like it's not an instant thing. It takes time to dig.
Mhm.
And at first it's hard, because getting used to reading words on a page versus a video that's like so attention giving is difficult, but it pays off.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like that analogy with the girlfriend thing,
Mm-hmm.
because like I get that a lot of people, they're like, they don't feel like reading the Bible and stuff like that. I'm like, if you're in a relationship with someone, like your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, you want to get to know them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to learn more about them. You want to talk to them and stuff. But if you're not, obviously it's easy to put a Bible verse in your bio and just be like, oh, well, I'm Christian, this and that. Post a little Christian song in your story, your Instagram story. But the hard part is, actually getting into that daily, being like, okay, I'm gonna have a conversation with God. I'm gonna, get into the secret place. I'm gonna, have my time where I get it, divulge into the Word. Learn a little bit more. But
Yeah.
it's just it's not easy. A lot of people think
Absolutely.
that it's going to be easy. It's not supposed to be easy. Anything easy isn't, it's not worth it, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
If it was easy, everybody would be a Christian.
Absolutely. And I think what kind of sucks, unfortunately, is it seems like Christianity is becoming more of a trend. People are projecting their lifestyle on social media that they live for Christ, but in their homes and in their true lifestyle off of social media, it's not real. And my dad said something, I'm trying to get to it today, this morning. He said, the more public your relationship with Christ is, the more time you need to spend with Him in private. And so the more time you spend, the more influence you have, like as a leader, as Christians, I believe that we're all called to lead, because we have to be used to not fitting in.
Yeah.
Because the world, obviously, they hated Jesus, and they're going to hate you sometimes. Most of the time. You're going to get feedback that isn't positive for the most part. And so getting used to, my mind went blank again.
It's all good. It's all good.
Getting used to prioritizing your time in private is difficult, because it's like, just us as humans, we like the attention and people being like, oh, good job. Like, I'm so proud of you. We love to hear that. And, but it's a different type of affirmation when it's from the Lord.
Yeah.
It's something that hits you deeper than somebody giving you a compliment. You know what I mean?
It's not just words. It's like you feel that. You feel that. Like when, well, actually, there's this. I guess the first time I had an encounter, like an actual encounter, because I grew up in the church as well. Like, my parents, I guess you could say, like pastor's kid. I was a pastor's kid, and I never felt that. I never understood what, like, everyone say they felt, the love of God, they felt the presence of the Father and stuff. I never felt that.
Yeah.
Until I guess it was like this one time we were at a conference, and I've been to many conferences, but it was like, I guess I was just really searching for something, and in that moment, all I heard was, you're loved.
Wow.
You're a son. And I just felt that. I didn't. It wasn't like when other people tell me they're like, yeah, Jesus loves you, this and that. Because before those words didn't really mean anything coming from them.
Yeah.
But hearing that, like hearing God say that, like
it hits different.
It just hits different. You just feel this kind of sensation of like it's real. Like
it's crazy.
Yeah. But going on is how does the idea of the body as a temple influence Christian views on physical health and fitness?
This is a good one. So for me, I think something that the Lord has helped me see is that I'm passionate about helping other men in Christ grow to be godly men, because it's something that the world needs badly. Because you look at families, and it all starts in the home. Like a relationship starts in the home and in families. And there's so many people that are growing up with father issues or family issues and broken homes. And I forget the statistic, but I'm pretty sure it was like when the father gets saved, it's like an 80% chance that the rest of the family gets saved. Versus when the mothers get saved, it's like a 20% chance. I can't remember it completely. Not degrading women, but God has called the man to lead the family. And so I know that you can gain respect from a man when they see the hard work that you put in. And in the gym, people, they can see when you're really working hard or if you're just there to be there. And so there's a lot of connections that I've made in the gym that I believe have paid off. Like the work and trying to get bigger has paid off, because they see that I'm not just here to go to the gym and say that I go to the gym. It's because I'm really trying to improve my life. And so God's used that to allow me to plant seeds, because they ask me all the time, like, so what do you do? And I'm like, I'm actually a social media influencer. Like God has blessed me to be able to share his word on social media. And I'm just a normal person. Like I'm not some crazy cool person that social media might project. I'm just like you. And so like being able to stay healthy physically, I think it honors the Lord, because going back to the laziness thing, whenever you're lazy, it's hard for God to work through you. And that may step on your toes, but as Christians, we're called to serve. We're called to be the hands and feet of Jesus. We're called to humble ourselves. And so whenever we're, not doing much to do that, it's hard for the Lord to work through us. But in the gym, like when we're staying healthy, we're able to be more active. We're able to just keep a cleared mindset, a positive. I can't think.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah, I saw the dog passed by. It's like,
sorry guys, a dog passed by.
It was cute though. Yeah. Kind of like what you were saying about serving. There's a verse that I actually prepared about that, which is Proverbs 31:17, where it says, she sets about her work vigor. I can't speak. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. Kind of like, if we're not, if we're in the hospital constantly not because of like, obviously, people are born with certain diseases and stuff. And I mean, like, if it's something you could change and you're constantly getting held back because of your health or because you can't do this or something like that, then that's, obviously that's hindering you from what God's called you to do. Go out in all the world and, spread the gospel and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's, it's just taking care of your body. Your body's a temple. Obviously, there's some stuff you can't change, like people born without limbs. I don't know why that came to mind, but people born without limbs, stuff like that you can't change, obviously.
Yeah.
But you have control over other things, over your life. You have control to get in shape. You don't have to be, ripped, jacked, Mr. Olympia type stuff.
Yeah.
But you still have to take care of your health.
Yeah, and one thing my dad tells me is or my mom actually said this. She said, if God makes you strong, it's to help the weak. When God gives you an opportunity, it's not to take for granted. It's to use it for his good. And so whenever you're able to grow physically, you can use that to help others who don't have that opportunity. Like people get picked on, Whenever you're able to, um, I'm not like trying to say like bullying like out of movie scenes, but whenever you're able to, um, not assert dominance, but stick up for the kids that aren't normally favored, and things like that.
Yeah.
It just honors the Lord whenever you see everyone not for what they look like, or how many followers they have, or if they're not cool. You see them as God's child, and as your brother or sister in Christ. And yeah.
Yeah. And also, the whole thing. All right. Well,
Okay, well,
we'll give it a little second to move on. Yeah. Sorry about that. Little motorcycle just passed by. But yeah. So this past week, there's kind of like a summer camp. Not like hooked to a church, but yeah, basically is a Christian camp.
Okay.
And so I was helping out there, and there's this one kid. He came up to me. He started, I was like trying to conversate with him, find like that way to get in to really interact with him, see what he liked. And when I started talking about the gym, he was like, I just saw his eyes bright. Like his eyes just got really bright. And I was like, okay, there we go. That's my chance. I love the gym. I love fitness.
Yeah.
I know a lot about fitness, so I could, speak to this guy, kind of
Relate to him.
yeah, and then try to work my way in there and see what he's all about, what he's going through, see if he could open up to me, use that as my means.
Absolutely.
And I guess like fitness, that's a way to kind of open up. If you see like a bodybuilder going to the store, obviously you're interested in that. You're seeing it and you're like, okay, it's like if something shiny comes into view, you're looking at it, you're paying attention. So I feel like fitness is like a perfect way for people to relate to people.
Big opportunity.
Use that as their ministry to kind of
absolutely
branch out.
And it's cool because whenever somebody, like, everybody has different passions. There's people who love skateboarding, people who love basketball, football, whatever it may be. But whenever you love something or you have a passion about it, you're able to touch somebody's heart who loves the same thing on another level, versus me, who, say, I didn't know anything about the gym and I tried going up to a bodybuilder. Obviously as bodybuilders, they're going to be, most of the time they're going to be nice and give you information. But when they see somebody who's in the gym and passionate about it,
They get more.
It opens their heart.
Yeah.
Right. It provides a way for them to open up, and usually you're able to plant a seed somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah. And okay, so my next question to you is: are there any Christian teachings or traditions that address the relationship between physical exercise and spiritual well-being?
Like teachings, as in like scriptures, or like
Just like in general, like stuff. I guess you could say scriptures. Yeah.
I don't even know. My mind is drawn to a blank. Can you give me like an example, like something that you would have?
Okay, so I'd say probably the only thing that comes to mind is like VBS. Because so I'm like saying like traditions, teachings, different stuff like that. But the only thing that comes to my mind is I guess like VBS, like how they're like some vacation Bible schools. They always have that little like, okay, we're gonna do the actions for the Christians. We're gonna do the actions for the song, this and that, and then that way they get them kind of like moving, get them active and whatnot.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that happen in church that you could relate to fitness, or like improving your life, because it doesn't have to be in the gym that you grow. There's some people who run, there's some people who do track, whatever it may take for you to better yourselves. And so even I think of worship as a way to grow spiritually. I think it's exercising spiritually. Being in the Word, it's like lifting spiritually. That's the way I think about it, because it's like, to me, that's like mainly motivation. It's like, this is me growing my faith muscles, putting in time when nobody else sees, doing the things that only God sees. And I know that it's helping me grow spiritually.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you get those those high knees, get into the worship. You see
Yeah.
people start doing high knees, jumping up and down, and like you're exercising, but at the same time you're praising the Lord.
Absolutely.
I never really got into the whole high knees thing. I jump up and down, but
If the Holy Spirit's hit me, then I'll get a little bit more active than usual.
yeah, and a little skip or two. But yeah, what I wanted to say was, I think we kind of covered it a little bit. I'll just go over. I had material set
No, you're good.
ahead, but it's fine. It's maintaining physical fitness. It's important from a Christian perspective because it reflects our commitment to God. Kind of like you're exercising, you're making that sacrifice, the same sacrifice that we make every day. With in our walk with God, we make a sacrifice to do that every day.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like, I guess, going back to what we were saying earlier, a lot of people, they don't want to do that because the sacrifice, obviously, it's not easy. It's a sacrifice. But like what I guess used as my motivation, not really motivation, but I guess kind of like something that started me up, keeping me in that every time I complain or have anything to say about it was, Jesus went through worse. And he didn't complain. When he was on the cross, he was up there. His last moments, he was praying for them. He wasn't, complaining or anything or saying, "Oh, well, why did we create these people or whatnot?" He was being diligent with it, for his purpose, why he was here.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of like how we should go about with fitness, or like, why are we doing it? We're not going to complain about it because it's something that's bettering us.
Yeah, it's like everything we're doing is to glorify God. It's not to glorify us, even though it might help our self-image of us and like our identity. It's not our whole identity because it just correlates, kind of like how a marriage is. Like marriage is not. It's not only to be married. it's to for two people to
come as one.
Yeah, come as one and honoring God and growing the kingdom and what's it called, and just growing together.
Yeah.
And so the gym is like a tool. It's almost like something you can add to your tool belt to help lead others to Christ. Like even I'm very passionate about evangelism, like outside of church, because I know that so many people in our generation there's a lot of church hurt. There's a lot of people who are just cut off to even the word Jesus. And so you have to be very strategic with how you say things sometimes, or like even just using discernment is huge because spiritual warfare is real. Demons, they know a true Christian, and so being able to even like project a lifestyle that you're living is positive. Like sometimes, obviously when I go up to somebody, I'm not like, "Hi, I'm a Christian. It's nice to meet you." It's like being able to show my morals without saying that is almost like really crucial, because then it opens like curiosity. Like, oh, why don't you drink, or why don't you party? Or how come you have such a strict schedule? Or why aren't you dating in the season? It opens doors for you to pour into their life.
I kind of I said this kind of in my my last episode, but it was kind of like church hurt. It's not. I don't really like that whole thing of church hurt, because it's always like people they're not going to go back to church because of something that happened there.
Yeah.
It's not the church that caused that. It might have been. It could have been the leaders. The leaders in the church, but you don't hold that against the church. You don't say, "Okay, I'm going to stop going to church," or it could just be that you got convicted by something, that was said, and that's where you just kind of have to check where your heart is, what you're going into it with, and like you said, like living the God kind of life, where it shows without saying it. That's I guess a lot of people are focused more on outwardly placing that rather than how they're actually living. Like you see people, they're posting I'm Christian. Again, they're posting the whole Bible verses over and over. But then you see on their close friends, they're out partying till like 2 a.m., getting drunk and whatnot, and getting wasted, wasting their nights and stuff. And it's more, you have to live that life more than you say it.
Yeah.
Actions speak louder than words.
And my favorite quote that my youth pastor says is sometimes um, you'll you'll be the only Bible someone ever reads, and so your lifestyle projects your morals and what you truly believe, because people see the good and the bad. Even though you may project a certain side, there's always going to be some people who see the other side.
Yeah.
And so you never know, maybe your closest friend may see you being lukewarm, and because of that they don't want to get into a relationship with God because they see that you're being fake.
Yeah.
And even though that may be hard to hear, it's like, who are you doing it for? Like, are you posting scriptures for approval or for God's approval?
Yeah.
Because people, you can get all the approval you want from people, but it's not gonna do anything in the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not gonna benefit your spiritual life and your walk with God. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I have another verse here.
Okay,
a little Bible study. But, John 1:2, where it says, "Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well." And it's, good health is seen as a blessing and a positive stat and complements spiritual well-being. But fitness, how it contributes to our overall health, and it can enhance our ability to kind of like engage in spiritual practices and whatnot. And that's kind of like what I said earlier. If you're not in the best state, you can't perform to your best. You can't. So I have like an uncle. He's a bit, I guess you could say, overweight. He's not healthy.
Yeah.
And because of that, he's always like, "Oh well, I'm not going to church. I can't make it. This and that." He had like his legs cut off and stuff like that because of his health.
Yeah.
But he used that kind of as his crutch to not dive deeper. And it's kind of like you start using that as like an excuse not to get closer to God, or an excuse of why you can't.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like again the victim mentality. They're just using that as a way to say, "Oh, woe is me. I can't do that. I can't do this." And well, I guess I spoke about that last week, but that's kind of like
it's still good to hear.
Yeah, it kind of correlates with like a lot the victim mentality.
Yeah, and it's like a trickle effect. Like, we're human, so we're gonna have mental battles. We're gonna have physical battles, spiritual battles, and it's like if you're not healthy physically, it's gonna start impacting your mental health, because you're gonna start overthinking. You're gonna start comparing. You're gonna start. It's just a trickle effect versus, being disciplined and learning to, just stay healthy. It really impacts your relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just to kind of close us off, because we're getting a little closer to the time, but just I guess to sum it up, fitness it supports our relationship with God by helping us honor Him, and with our bodies, equipping us for service, fostering discipline, and contributing to our overall well-being. And I guess my encouragement to anyone hearing this is go to the gym.
Yeah.
Well, even if you don't have to go to the gym, because the gym's kind of expensive. The whole gym lifestyle is kind of expensive. But I mean, like, get active. Get active so that you can, I guess, be active. Kind of like, by what I mean by that, by being active, is like being in the Word. Being out there spreading the gospel and whatnot, so that you could be active.
Yeah. But, yeah. If I were to say anything to anybody out there listening, I would tell you to don't trade your authenticity for approval. Never compare your walk with anybody else's. God made you one of one.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be people who don't understand your grind sometimes. There's going to be people who doubt you, and there's going to be people who make fun of you. But God made you who you are for a reason.
Yeah.
And you're a leader. You were born a leader. And, just keep pushing. The grind is going to pay off, and the Lord wants to use you. And so, I don't know you, but I love you. Jesus loves you.
Jesus loves you. Yeah. I like what they say. If not me, then who? If not now, then when?
Yeah.
Get in the gym. But anyways, thank you, Greyson, for coming on my podcast.
Yes,
I was about
sir.
to say show, but I realized it. Anyways, yeah. So thank you for giving your time, your testimony, and some information as well.
Yes, sir.
And I hope that whoever hears this, they're touched by it. And if you want to drop your Instagram,
Okay, yeah.
we'll drop the link.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Josh, for having me. And y'all have a blessed one.
All right. Well, we'll see you.
Perfect.
And off right there. And